Hello, listening people.
Hello.
You're listening to Spit and Polish presents Unappreciated Masterpieces. I am one of your hosts, Ryan Sliwinski.
And I'm your other host, Bartek Spooky Kasprzyszak.
Spooky?
Yeah, because Ryan, it's month of spook.
Spook month?
Yeah.
For the spooks out there?
Isn't that a slur?
A slur? No, it's not a slur.
Isn't it?
No, not really. We'll get into what that means later, I guess. It ties so much.
We just
into our
started the episode. Should we look
spooky
it up and just start again?
No, never. We're gonna, you know what? In fact, instead of looking up, we're gonna come up with guesses. It's a what?
I thought it was a black slur.
No, what? Okay, I don't know, Bartek, but we'll get into it. So we are Spit and Polish likingly because we're always spitting, and we both happen to be a bunch of spooks, and
Well, we're Polish, so
so
pretty white.
as well. Well, it could be a phrase for Polish people. Don't know. I didn't know there was a racial thing for the word spook, but I guess we'll get into it.
I guess there's Polacks, but
We'll talk about the
comes
elephant.
from
We'll
Polacks,
talk
so-
about the elephant in the room later. Bartek.
It's being very quiet now.
Yeah, Babar knows it's a good boy and needs to be quiet. So, Bartek, we're doing our show Unappreciated Masterpieces. It's spooky month, so we're covering all the spookier movies, the darker themed movies, the supernatural movies, the monster movies, all of those good things.
Well, 5 of them, yeah.
Well, we can only do 5 at a time. There's only so many weeks in a month, so there you go. But, Bartek, what is an unappreciated masterpiece? What do we do?
Which one do I answer first?
You could do them both at the same time.
What we do is a feature-length audio commentary on unappreciated masterpieces. Now that brings into the question, or rather brings in the question,
Could you, Bartek? Yeah.
could I Bartek?
That's how I started.
Bartek's not a...
Could you, Bartek?
Bartek's not a verb.
You're right.
Yes.
It's not a doing word.
Alright, let's stop Barteking. An unappreciated masterpiece is a feature film that's been released in theaters. I said feature a few times, but theater was the word I was thinking of. These are films that have been released, they've been watched, they've existed, but that's all we can really say, because the word that I'm not saying is remembered or talked about or appreciated, how to the point. We, I suppose, try to give these films justice. The justice that they deserve is being appreciated, being known, that they are in fact some of the greatest films ever made.
We are the Batman of podcasts. We are just delivering justice.
I'm not a fan of cricket.
Okay, fair enough. Bartek, I don't know what the film we are doing is, because I'm in the episode. You'll have to tell me, because
Isn't that the worst person to not know what the film is?
Well, I've yet to start being
right.
up to the point in which I know the movies, so you have to tell me, because you're from the future, where everything's dark and bleak, and you've come back in time to warn us.
Well, actually, the future's November. It's not spooky month anymore.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So what is it?
And we're getting closer to the summer solstice.
Oh, wow, so it's even darker and scarier time. Bartek,
No, brighter.
I know, I'm being a joke.
I know, and I'm being science.
Okay, tell me the movie.
Tell you the movie?
In 3, 2, 1, play.
Buffy Postrach Vampirów.
Oh, now I understand some of those words, but the others...
Was it Vampirów?
The others are in English, which is a problem, because I only speak Polish.
That's funny, because only one of them's in English, but okay.
Yeah, well, that's a problem. One's in English. I don't understand Buffy. I don't know what that means.
Did I say it wrong? Is it buffy?
Yeah, I don't know. It's some kind of buffet. I only speak Polish, no English, I'm afraid.
Wait, since when?
Since we are... What you don't know is we're actually speaking Polish right now, because that's how good we are. The listening people are now speaking Polish. They've got that thing in their ear from the Hitchhiker's Guide movie.
Babblefish?
Yeah, that's what's happening. So we're just speaking... So you have to tell me the title in English, so that I can slowly learn English.
Just to recap, what language was I speaking?
We're speaking Polish right now.
Okay.
But you said one word in not Polish, and I don't understand.
So when
Polish.
I said Buffy Postrach Vampirów, that's me speaking Polish.
But you have to give me the full thing in English so I can slowly learn English, because I don't understand that first word.
I get it now. I see.
You've caught up.
Yes, it's a twist on the joke. You don't speak English now.
yeah, exactly.
Took me a second. The movie is
Yeah, so I'm laughing at you. It's okay, I can laugh at you, Bartek.
Now look, Ryan, if you put Buffy Postvac Vampiro into Google Translate, you will be given...
No, I'm really worried already.
I think it was like Buffy of Vampire Terror or something.
That describes her.
But it's actually Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We're doing season 1.
No. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, open bracket, film, close bracket.
There was a film, like after the season had ended and Sarah Michelle Gellar was like a conclusion film or what?
The answer would be yes if the series was made before 1992.
Oh, so this is before.
Yes.
Oh, so it must have all the same cast. Okay, it all makes sense now. But we can't do this by ourselves, Bartek. We need a Buffy expert. Someone who oozes knowledge of the Buffyverse, we call it. That's what it's called. Mm-hmm. Neil deGrasse Tyson even said it one time. He's like, it's called the Buffyverse, and he points into the sky, and there's just a cloud that's the shape of Sarah Michelle Gellar. We need an expert, but who is it?
Who is it?
Yeah.
Who is it?
Who?
Who? It's not Doctor Who, Ryan. This is Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
So
I'm not an expert on Doctor Who, so that's the joke I made.
Okay.
Our guest today is once a year returning guest, and this is the once of this year, 2018. Please welcome our sister, Allana Kasprzyszak. I think I made the joke last year. I forgot to check.
I can't remember, but always happy to be back.
Hello, Allana.
Hello,
You're
Ryan.
the Buffy expert.
I
Welcome
am.
to Buffy the Vampire Slayer 1992. Now, Allana, you obviously watched this beforehand.
Oh, every day.
Every day. And you guys at home obviously have a copy of it on you because we have our copy. We're going to be watching the film. I'm going to do a countdown. I'm going to say play, and you're going to press play, because you need to be lined up with the film of Buffy the Vampire Slayer,
And
which
just
most people don't know exists for some reason. What a crime.
Yeah, just to explain, in the middle of me introducing Allana, Ryan actually went and watched the whole film and researched it, so he's an expert now.
I'm an expert now. I mean, I did watch it, so...
You didn't watch it?
I did watch it.
Oh, you did
I was
watch it.
very, very worried when watching it, because I was like, this movie is like an hour and 20-something minutes, and I was like, that can't be right. But then I googled it, and it is an hour and 20-something minutes. It's less than 90 minutes long, so Joss Whedon knew he had to restrain us.
Mm-hmm.
So guys, get your copy, because I'm going to do a countdown now. I'm going to go down from 3, and you're going to press that fucking play button, because we're going to have a great time. So get ready, because I'm going to start in 3, 2, 1, play. So, guys, it's Buffy, 20th Century Fox's greatest film of the 20th century, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Allana, you're older than us.
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine you went and saw Buffy at the cinema, right?
Oh, I wanted to, but it was not on in Kempsey, unsurprisingly. So as soon as we had access to it, I dragged our parents to Video Easy to acquire the videotape.
Oh, yeah? And, how was it?
Oh, transcendental.
Transcendental, that's it. Do you remember vividly what it was like seeing it for the first time? And also, had you seen it before the show or after the show?
After the show. So I was pleasantly surprised by the changes. I mean, you go into a movie like this thinking, I've seen the show, I'm going to know what it's all about. But then you get, like, the magic mole that depicts who the Slayer is, which is not in the TV show.
Yeah, her mole was right there. Now, in the TV show, I've got to ask you, you're a TV show expert as well. Is Buffy a cheerleader, and does she do full 2-minute long cheerleading dance sequences to open up every single episode of the show?
Unfortunately, she's not a cheerleader in the show. She used to be one, though. They recognised that this film existed, and she had been a cheerleader.
I think I was looking it up, and then like they make a specific thing where it's like you're not allowed to cheerlead anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I guess because the horrible incident from that first movie was incidental to a cheerleader.
It really was. They keep referencing the horrible incident at this school, which in the TV show, they mentioned that she burned down the auditorium.
But it doesn't happen in this movie.
No,
it happened in the original script of this movie.
Yeah, Joss Whedon really wanted it to happen, so when he made the TV show happen, he just said it did.
But did Joss Whedon, the writer of this and Buffy, the show, and, he does everything, guys. We all know Joss Whedon.
I think.
Toy Story?
Did he write Toy Story?
I don't know. I
think
didn't.
he was involved in the first one.
I know people were involved in the Toy Story. I don't know if it was him, but I'll take your word for it, because I think you've mentioned this once before, and I just went, oh, I'll believe you. But was it his idea to make sure that we had the first feature film of Hilary Swank?
I like to imagine he had that much foresight.
I would like to think so too. Now, Bartek, what about you? Have you been well versed in the Buffy-verse, the film and the show?
I've only seen one episode, and it was for a media class.
What episode?
Well, we were studying vampires in Year 11 media, and, you know, we were seeing different depictions of Dracula. I don't know if he's a recurring character or one time, but...
He's a one-time villain.
Yeah, we saw the episode that had Dracula in it.
Oh, yeah, how was he?
I remember him being pretty good in it, yeah.
There you go.
He owes Spike money.
Yeah, I think one of the characters in that episode was doing kind of like a Renfield thing throughout it.
That was Xander.
Xander.
Yeah, I remember that name, Xander.
They actually released a comic book set before that episode to explain how Dracula owed Spike money.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Because you owed Spike some money.
Was it written by Bram Stoker?
Unfortunately, no. I like to think Joss Whedon was channeling Bram Stoker, though it had the same pathos.
It's really weird because it was actually Mary Shelley who wrote the little comic beforehand. She's known for Frankenstein, but she really wanted to expand her range and show that, you know, females can write vampires too. It's the light ages now,
And then
not
Twilight
the
happened.
dark ages. But no, I like how they spell it light, like in Lite.
Yeah, it's not heavy. It's not. Well, no, it's.
It's the Pepsi generation,
LITE,
guys.
now with 20% fewer letters.
Exactly.
I meant, you know, heavy as in like tonally, but then I realized light and heavy are also weight differences.
It's
so...
okay, buddy. We'll allow it to slide. Now, I'm also slightly into the Buffyverse because Allana would watch them so much. And when I was hanging out at Bartek's house all the time when I was a small child to watch his older sister watch Buffy, it really rubbed off on me.
I remember there was a kid like that. Yeah, that was. Oh, I thought we only met a few years ago.
I was that kid in the corner who was annoying her by asking her, why is this so stupid? And why are they doing this? And there was no real answers other than Joss Whedon wanted them to do this, Ryan. And I went, that's fine.
My house in Kempsey, obviously. 'Cause
Yeah,
we
exactly.
mentioned Kempsey.
Yeah, well, you know, exact. Maybe that's the true case. Maybe you're actually Ryan and I'm actually Bartek.
That's all right.
Hey guys, it's me, Bartek. What's light? I don't know.
Yeah, it's me, Ryan.
That's a good one. Yours just evolved into noises. So, guys, let's
the
give it up
point.
for the father of Kiefer Sutherland, Donald Sutherland.
Hey, the new Snakes Dad.
Yeah, the new Snake's dad. I really hope that someone who doesn't know what Metal Gear Solid is, they're just like, why is he saying this guy is the father of a snake?
Yeah, that's father of Kurt Russell.
Oh man, if they thought it was Kurt Russell. If Kurt Russell rocked up in this movie, that would have been also good. Now, Bartek, I'm versed a bit, not as much as Allana, the expert, because I watched them secondhand. Like Allana, we have all of these VHS tapes of Buffy, which are still at the house. And she would just randomly put them on, and I would just be like in the background, being a kid, being like, "Oh, okay, this is all right." She's kicking people, a lot of kicking
Oh, so
in the
much
show.
kicking and twirling.
There's kicking in this film.
So much twirling.
Apparently, one of the people that gets kicked in this film is Seth Green.
Yes,
Yeah, I heard that. You can only see him from behind.
Poor Seth.
But
He's in the show.
According to the IMDb trivia, you should only be able to tell it's him by his hair.
No, he did have pretty iconic hair back then. This
Yeah.
would have been near Austin Powers one time, right? Just a year or two. No, sorry, way before.
It's like 4 years before.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think.
4
Wasn't
years.
it 96?
Yeah, 96, 97, I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit before. This would have been near the time where he did My Stepmother's a Alien or Martian or whatever it was, the one with Dan Aykroyd in it. Remember that?
Yeah.
We got to do that on the show one day, Bartek. That's a great movie. My Stepmom's an Alien or something like that. It's so weird. And Seth Green's in it as Willow's boyfriend character and that too. So
You sold me on Seth Green.
John Lovitz is in it too.
I love it.
You know he has a podcast called Lovitz or Leavitz.
I can see it. Yeah.
I would want to see it too. So we've been introduced to a ton of characters. Buffy has been introduced, and she's blonde-haired, popular cheerleader girl who's really selfish and
she's played by Sarah Michelle Gellar.
I would love it if she was played by Sarah Michelle Gellar, but no, this is a different cast, different characters. Other than Buffy and her mum are the only ones that transfer from this movie to the show, right? Is that it?
To a degree, she has her Watcher, but they really change.
Well,
that.
the Watcher gets killed in this one,
Yeah.
so. But like
spoilers, right?
Oh, spoilers, guys. What? Stephen Root isn't in the show as detention giver,
Nope, unfortunately not. I feel like it was a missed opportunity.
as guy who delivers best jokes in everything he's in always. Now, Bartek, your mum's a pretty busy lady. Does she ever get so busy that she literally says kiss noise? Because she's got not enough time to say I love you or go mwah. She literally says kiss noise and runs away. Does that happen to you a lot?
No, just kiss.
Just kiss.
I'm not good enough for the noise.
Because that was one of my favorite jokes. This movie's funny too. Like, a lot of people have slammed on this movie because it's too like different from the show, but the show's somewhat goofy too, guys. And this movie's pretty great with all the jokes. And that was one of my favorites. That the mum says kiss noise because she's just too busy to actually go mwah.
Well, it's a very progressive kind of thing to do, because nowadays, you know, especially online, we all value brevity. Like, we don't say ha 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 anymore like normal people. We just go LOL.
Lol.
And then sometimes you get the people who are like trying to be meta about it and being like, wow, what do all these people do with all their time that they've saved to shorten a word?
That's all fair. I really didn't take into account, because I had not seen this movie before myself, before having to do it for this podcast, because I don't ever remember Allana ever watching it. I don't think you ever watched it when I was alive.
The movie?
Yeah, you must have, but I don't remember you ever whacking it on. You'd always watch the show and Angel, the spin-off.
Very sadly, we didn't own the movie, so we only ever got to watch it the few times I got to rent it.
Or when it was on TV.
Or when it was on TV.
When it was edited for TV, the movie that's like an hour and 22 or 3 minutes long. They edited it for TV to make it shorter. So, good job, guys.
So that you have more minutes to, you know, do the things that you do.
Because Paul Reubens was too fucking good for TV to handle. He was so good. But yeah, I'd not seen this, so I did not know what to expect. I had heard a lot of backlash for this movie. A lot of Buffy fans just don't even think about this movie. They're like, oh, we'll discredit this. It doesn't exist, even though the show's like, it exists, guys.
Yeah, obviously, because I'm not familiar with the show, I tried to err away from including too many comments and reviews for the end of this show that related to people just comparing it to the show. But I definitely saw like mixed opinions on whether Kristy Swanson, that's the actress's name?
Yeah.
Kristy Swanson or Sarah Michelle Gellar are better. You know, elements that they like more from the film or the show. Like, it seemed pretty divisive.
It's a divisive movie, but it's so interesting because for most of my time, people hate this movie. But in the last couple of years, I've seen people go, hey, no, this movie's actually quite good. And that's why I want to do it for the show. I've been seeing this growing defending nation for this movie. And I'm like, we need to be the generals of this army. Because
I'll just settle for ambassador.
Yeah, you're not allowed to. Okay, you're ambassador.
Too many war crimes. I can't be.
Yeah, exactly. But what about you, Allana? Have you seen this film's popularity grow and change over the decades?
It's definitely had a resurgence, and I think it is ripe for a stage production.
A musical?
Possibly a musical. I don't want to tread on the toes of the other Buffy musical, but you see the elements. I mean, look at the three ladies on set right there.
They're like the Heathers.
Exactly. They're very Heathers inspired.
Oh, man.
They could be backup singers for Buffy's breakaway number.
Oh. What would her number be?
I'm honestly not... I'd want to bring in some of the lines she is so famous for here. I think it would be, this is a sitch.
Oh,
she
yeah.
uses that all the time through this.
Because she's Kim Possible.
Yeah.
Didn't the film start with a CNC Music Factory song?
Probably. I'll take your word for it.
I am only saying that because the subtitle said CNC Music Factory.
I'll take your word for it. No, or she could have a song being like "Last Season," because that's what she got told that jacket was. So last season.
But it's totally lush.
Oh, it's so lush.
It's like, what are the lines that you can grab from this film that you'll make a song about, I guess is the question.
lush.
Lush.
Oh, look, it's
What about when one of them says, "Wait, we hate you," or something like that?
well, that's not good.
Like, that's just his revelation that, like, wait, we hate you.
This is going to be a spoiler, but we definitely need to turn the song "Pike is a Fish."
Oh yeah, Pike is a fish. yeah, and the backup dancers are dressed as pikes.
Yeah,
Doing the fish wobble.
And one of them's a red herring.
Yeah, and one of them's a red herring. And one of them's just David Arquette. Just himself, like the real actor David Arquette. Just like, I've got nothing much happening. Remember me and Eight-Legged Freaks? And Scream? Now I'm here. But, Bartek, I've got to ask you, how many of the male heartthrobs made your heart throb? Because this got Luke Perry. The Luke Perry.
It's also got Mr. Sutherland.
Well, Mister's correct. And Stephen Root is in the movie, and he looks the exact same, but his voice is younger. He looks the exact same, but his voice is like, instead of being like, "Hey, it's me, Stephen Root," it's more like, "Hey, it's me, Stephen Root." Like, it's pretty much the exact same. Who made your heart throb out of the boys? Bartek?
Mr. Sutherland and Mr. Root.
Okay. I'm really disappointed you didn't say Paul Reubens. Because he's the real answer.
I can't have a heartthrob to only a one-armed man.
Oh, so racist.
Ableist.
What about no. He's
How dare you be discriminatoryist?
against vampires.
Get my discriminations right.
You didn't even choose Rutger Hauer. How could you?
Well, he does have two arms.
He plays a fiddle. How could you not choose him? He's so charismatic.
He is in a character's dreams, yes.
Not yours, though, because you're real, not a character.
Well, I had to be awake watching the film.
Oh, yeah. This film does feel like a dream at times, does it not, Allana?
Oh, it always has that quality, especially when the villains are in frame.
Oh, yeah. Like this whole sequence, didn't this feel really dreamlike, where one gets just taken and the other one just kind of falls forward?
Well, they're also talking about having sex, so...
Yeah.
Well, that leads to the understanding that one should get brutally turned into a vampire, because it's the horror movie rules. If you want to have sex or you are having sex, you get punished, buddy. Mm-hmm. Hey, he's wearing army tags. I never noticed this. Is he's wearing dog tags? So is Pike from like a military boy? Did he serve in Nam?
I like to think it would probably be Desert Storm, given the era.
That's true. Like I said, Nam. Like he served with Stephen Root's character. Yeah. Stephen Root, who clearly didn't serve in Nam.
And obviously, you know what weapon he used.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
A pike.
Yeah.
So he threw fish at them.
No, I said a pike, one fish, Ryan.
Just the singular fish, he kept throwing it at them. He's like, give it back, and they gave it back, and he threw it at them again.
Ryan, if you're going to fight with a boomerang, how many boomerangs do you bring? You bring one.
Exactly, but they come back.
Yeah. But pikes, you get them back.
He throws it, and then they get hit, and he's like, could you pass that back to me? And they're like, oh, okay, but don't throw it again. He's like, I won't, and then throws it again.
Then the enemies smell like fish, and then who gets them? The bears.
Yeah.
There's actually a mission in the game Sly Cooper 2 where that's how you beat enemies. You throw
in
fish
Vietnam?
At them.
With all the Vietnamese bears?
That mission's set in Canada, actually, so, you know.
With all the Vietnamese bears?
Too many bears, yeah.
So many bears. Now, Allana, you're a woman of fashion.
Oh, always.
Which outfit is the best? Is it this one here?
I mean, that is some classic tumbling attire. Good for the gym, but also good for just the playground, going out with some friends. But I think we really need to pay attention to the Watcher's overall homelessness chic fashion. It's got a whole ensemble, includes hat, scarf, goatee.
He puts that on.
He just can take that off.
And he takes it off. Yeah. Exactly. I loved all the outfits in this because it is that thing of it's such a time capsule movie as well. It's a very 90s set movie. It isn't made in the light ages, so the fashion has to represent that era perfectly. And since Buffy herself is, in this movie, a more vapid, self-centered character, she has to wear the attire that kind of complements the personality, but also is a juxtaposition to her personality, because she's all like bright and bubbly, but she's kind of mean and kind of selfish, so she has all these like nice, colorful, happy-go-lucky clothes, but as the movie goes on, she becomes more mature, and the clothes become more practical and sensible, and at the end, she's just wearing white because she's now pure.
It's a very good reading of the material, Ryan.
And her hair's like white blonde, so she's even purer.
But still, it's progressive. She has the leather jacket on top of it as well.
Well, it's also because at the beginning she wanted a leather jacket, but it was told it was so last season. But then at the end, she's given a leather jacket because it is this season. And it's Pike. I mean, he's a fish.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a pike. Yeah. Bartek, you blind to this as well. What did you think going into this? And also having only watched one episode of Buffy, and I can't remember that episode.
Like 8 years ago, yeah.
I can't remember that episode off the top of my head, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily... Would you say it's an episode that represents Buffy as a whole?
I mean, I'd say it's actually a pretty good representation of the TV show.
Okay.
It had some horror elements while generally poking fun at horror.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Bartek, you went in blind, and you're not big on the Buffy universe, so what were you expecting going in? Especially with the title, Buffy The Vampire Slayer.
Well, not so much an expectation for how I would take it, but an expectation of how fans of the series going back to it would take it would be an idea that, this is very different from the show, but it's interesting to see, like, the original source material that it deviates from, to give them like an idea of like, here's some ideas that used to be there, like the mole,
the menstrual cramps.
Like what did they keep? What did they take away? So
Yeah.
I was expecting that it would be different from the show, but that being said, I don't really have much of a perspective for what those differences would be.
Well, I did a bit of digging.
Okay, but then you watch the film, right?
And then I watched the film.
Yeah.
I went digging for some vampire corpses that were going to come to life. No, I watched not only the movie, but the unaired pilot, and also the aired pilot. And the aired pilot is just the unaired pilot, but filmed in different locations. It's the exact same script and story. And also some different actors. Like in the unaired pilot, they didn't have the same actress who played Willow. And they didn't... So for instance, it's basically the same tone as this movie. Like, a lot of people, Buffy fans, don't want to recognize that, but it's like in the beginning, at least in the pilot, Buffy is kind of bratty and self-centered and doesn't want to hunt vampires because she wants to make friends at her news because she's moved from LA to, where is it?
Sunnydale.
Sunnydale, the legendary Sunnydale. And she doesn't want to hunt vampires, but she's got an overseer character, she's got... a friend and all these friends and all this, but she wants to not hunt vampires because it's her first day at school. And I don't want to. And the best thing is, in this movie, one of my favorite characters is Stephen Root's character of wacky teacher character. In the movie, in the unaired pilot, the wacky teacher character is played by character actor Stephen Tobolowsky. Who's you would know him if you
I know the
looked at
name.
him.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's been on our show yet, but he's that bald guy. This tall, bald guy, and he's in Groundhog Day as Ned, the one who keeps getting punched by Bill Murray. But he's the teacher, and he has the same kind of attitude as Stephen Root's characters. Like in that episode, people are getting murdered all over school, and he's just like, Buffy, let me just reassure you that we don't usually have this many dead bodies at our school. Like that kind of thing, and that's what Stephen Root's character would do. And I don't know, they kind of got rid of that level of wackiness from the show. Like, they still had wackiness, but the adults weren't as 1980s adults where they were just like, murders.
They had their moments. They brought in Shimmerman, who played Quark in Star Trek, to be a principal, and he was the bad guy principal, and he was overlooking murders all the time.
Is it because he was a bad guy, though?
He was a bad guy.
So that adds up, but Stephen Root isn't a bad guy in this.
No.
That's what I mean, like, so it's not, like, they kept some things, but then they didn't make them as consistent, like, the tone isn't as wacky in the show.
Generally speaking, not. They kind of keep the wackiness a little bit down.
I mean, it's still fucking wacky, Bartek.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
It doesn't sound like Jennifer's Body, where everyone's distraught over death.
No.
no. It is a universe in which she can be a full-time high school student, but also a full-time vampire slayer.
Mm-hmm.
And it just doesn't affect too much. There comes a point where she just takes it in such stride. It's just like, yep, I can do it all, and I'm just good on you, Buffy.
Yeah, of
But in
course.
this movie, she can barely do it.
Like by the end of her time at high school, she gets to find out that all the students at the school were well aware of what she did, and they were just overlooking it for her benefit.
I thought you were going to say they were all vampires, and they were just really keen on giving her a go. I did appreciate, I didn't know what to go into this. Like, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I'd seen the shows, but I knew the general premise anyway. Like, young teenage girl who kills vampires and makes quips, the Joss Whedon-y quips,
Oh, always.
and flicks her hair
Oh,
and kicks people.
watch out, Benny here is back.
He's back, but he needs to be invited in.
Yep, important bit of vampire lore.
The invitation only.
Right.
Oh, you didn't pick up on that?
Well, you find out about the invite thing later on. So
Oh, you didn't know that was just vampire lore?
to be honest, I think maybe I would have heard it forever ago, but I haven't really seen it in many adaptations of
I've seen it
things
in-
recently.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. I've seen quite a few things.
It's like when they mentioned it in the film, I was like, there was something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough. But he's Benny Boy. He was a great character.
Able to fly here? So
Are they able to fly in the show?
Not in the show. They do not fly.
They can jump
unfortunately.
very high, though, Bartek. I hear you wondering. They can jump
They can.
incredibly high, like cats.
But I feel like the flying really adds to these vampires. Look at that. It's a great scene. Very
is.
realistic.
I was very interested to know the vampire lore that's going to be within this movie. So, like, when Paul Reubens loses an arm, I'm like, oh, so he's going to regrow that arm, right? No, he just does not have an arm ever again. Because sometimes vampires can just regenerate, because the only thing that can kill them is the stake to the heart or the holy water or daylight or that. So it's like everything else is like, it doesn't matter. So you could cut off their arm, it'll grow back, or they'll get something like, they'll just come back there.
I guess, yeah, when you walk into something that has, like, an established premise but has different rules. Like, for example, when we did Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time, we were debating over what the rules of time travel were there. I guess, yeah, that would be one thing that you had to consider, but also his attitude in the film kind of made you think, like, oh, it's not a big deal. I guess he'll get an arm back,
But he doesn't.
but he doesn't. Yeah.
I think it's more of a big deal, like, it's not a big deal because it's like, I've lived for centuries. This is the first time this has happened. Oh, well. Rutger has more of a problem with it when he loses his arms. Like, you lost your arm? Jeez. Like, come on. How did you live through the Middle Ages?
It's like lovers bickering.
They did have a real lover's vibe. I mean, he did kiss his hand.
It's true. In
Oh.
a velvet glove, as I recall.
Oh, the old velvet glove routine. Now, how old is Buffy supposed to be in this movie?
She's actually meant to be a senior in this, which is a bit older than she is in the TV show.
Is she? Is that...
In this TV show, she comes in as, like, middle of high school. This is, like, her last year of high school here.
No. Is it because...
They mentioned third-year proms, their last year of school.
Oh, is it because they have the thing of this is our last dance, but then they list like 7 more dances that they're gonna have.
But still, the senior prom's one of them. That's
Yeah.
the last dance.
But they're not doing the senior prom.
Yeah, but it's still their last year. They mentioned straight off the bat this
Okay.
is their last
So
year.
so wait, I'm confused. How many dances do the last years of American high schools
Here's the
have?
problem, Ryan. You were never a popular girl. They have infinite dances.
Okay, because I was like, okay, the prom's the last one, right? Okay, I'm getting it. I remember Cassandra and how she never comes back.
Yes.
It's a very interesting choice that they never brought her back. I guess it was just like, hey, we can eat women, but we can't turn them into... Hey, were there... I guess they were, but I can't remember. Were there female vampires in this?
Oh, there were in this one here.
Yeah.
Well, isn't the
saw
second
a couple,
vampire that Buffy killed in the graveyard a female?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And in one of the flashbacks, we saw a female vampire. But
Okay, yeah.
they are a bit rarer.
Because,
Because you have to
women,
remember,
right?
no, this is Joss Whedon's show of Buffy smashing the literal patriarchy,
Oh, yeah.
which is vampires, male vampires.
What's wrong, Bartek? Is it that
No,
Donald
that's
Sutherland
completely right.
creeped up on her in a locker room by
Well,
herself?
no, Ryan, all he did was walk. That's normal.
He creeped.
That's normal.
He creeped. You know he did.
We do that all the time, Ryan.
Well, yeah, it's walking here because we're in the southern hemisphere, so the gravity's harder, so we have to kind of naturally creep. But and there's so many spiders waiting to attack us.
We also have to, pay attention that we don't fall down.
But
in the sky.
I enjoyed the vampire mythos. Like, I enjoy the fact that Paul Reubens couldn't regrow a thing, so it's kind of like you could kind of hurt him
You could
without
literally
having
disable him, yeah.
Yeah, you could disable like. And then I asked Allana, so it's like, is that like how it is in the show? And it's kind of that it is how it is.
Yeah.
Like, one of the characters, Spike, gets his back broken, takes him ages to get it healed up.
Yeah, when I first watched Terminator 2,
Yeah.
at the very, because the whole thing in that film is, how are we going to stop this guy? He's liquid metal, he'll just regenerate.
Yes.
And then eventually, the solution was, I'll throw him into the
Molten.
molten stuff. So it made me think throughout my whole life,
How would they beat it in the future when they don't have molten stuff?
no, I was always thinking to myself, what situation could not be resolved by throwing the problem into a volcano or something?
Lava monster.
That's true, yes, but
Ghost.
But I guess in this case, if you threw Paul Reubens into a volcano, I guess he'd just suffer forever, right?
No, he would die because eventually it would burn his heart.
Oh, that's true. But isn't the stake the only thing?
No,
No, it's
I
just-
guess if you don't have a
It's
heart,
just killing
then-
the heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can shoot them in the heart, right?
No, well, if you can, honestly, they never did. But Buffy very rarely had guns. As
Is
a
it
thing.
because she was a teenage girl in America and it was hard to get guns in America?
And that doesn't feel correct, but it's Joss Whedon's world.
Is
so.
it Joss Whedon's world?
To be fair, in the TV show, the only time a gun ever really was used, it killed a character we all loved. So it was used by the bad guys.
So my favorite thing is with movies like this, Bartek, where we just asked this question: do guns work? And the movie will never answer that because they never thought to have guns in it. A movie that answers this question really well is this great film that I think you would love called Tremors
I've heard of
with
it.
Kevin Bacon. And it's got these giant worms underground, and there's this couple that are gun nuts, and the movie asks, can you kill these giant worms with guns? And the answer is yes, but it takes a fuck ton of effort, but these guys have all the guns.
I'd like to point out here they're using a Divinals song.
Well, I like the Divinals, so
We
I
all
was really
like the
wrapped.
Divinals. It's great. Good
I like montages.
Australian band. Better still, in the TV show, Buffy makes a callback comment to how she used to listen to the Divinals.
Oh,
In particular, the song I Touch Myself, but she said she didn't know what it meant at the time.
oh, typical Buffy, she's so innocent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so interesting, the little things that this character has in her, like she wants to marry Christian Slater. I like in the trivia. I don't know if you're in the trivia. It was like
Yeah,
in
there was
the
a
show
lot
she
about-
manages to achieve 2 of the 3 things she wants to do, and I guess Christian Slater marrying them was not the one.
Does she die?
She actually, she
dies.
She
Oh, okay.
dies in the TV show twice. She actually achieved 3 of the things because she also, at the end, goes to Paris.
Oh right, yeah. So 3 of the 4, I guess, but it's like she does not marry Christian Slater. It would be great if he appeared though in the show, but as not Christian Slater, but as something else. That would be pretty rad. Oh, Donald Sutherland's so upset right now.
Yeah, but doesn't he know that you can still disable vampires, though?
Yeah,
I mean, a
hitting
stake
them.
through the kneecap, that'll slow you down.
Yeah, it will slow you down. Now, one thing I got to praise about this, Bartek, is the makeup. I think the makeup of the vampires looked awesome. The teeth and the ears and the paleness, I thought that looked great. The little weird, bat ears, they look like bat wings.
Yeah, the ears. I noticed that on Benny.
Yeah, what did you think? They look cool, right?
Yeah, it's just a little extra touch. They weren't just, they're humans, but we gave them teeth or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I like with Rutger Hauer, we don't see his ears because his hair's so over the top and big.
That's how we know that in Vampire's Kiss he wasn't really a vampire. He didn't have the ears.
Now, in the show, the vampire makeup's not as good.
No.
Really?
Because it's way more pronounced, it gives them a rictus face, the prosthetics doesn't allow them to move their face as much, so it is more harder to act with it. Some can, but it's not everyone's Doug Jones, right? So not everyone knows, but it's it makes them have these weird brows and creases in their faces, the bright yellow eyes, I think, as well, and
the angry brows,
big teeth, and the their chins get bigger and more
No,
masculine
I
looking.
don't think they changed the chins.
Maybe the actors just made their chins more pronounced because it's
David
always like
Boreanaz just has a very
big
manly chin.
He's a big boy.
He's like basically chin and forehead, and that's everything.
And some little beady eyes thrown in.
Jumping back to what, well, you've said it multiple times already, but Joss Whedon writing.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this film had a lot of executive interference.
And Sutherland interference.
And Sutherland interference, yes.
I would like to think that Stephen Root came up with this whole speech himself, though.
I could definitely see it, yeah.
I would love it. Yeah, there's a lot of interference from this, so Joss Whedon's not a big fan of this, but I still think there's a lot of Joss Whedon stuff still in here, because Joss Whedon is one of those guys where he has his style, he has his character types, and he has his stories that he likes to tell, and this still meets them all. It does, doesn't it? Like, it still carry a lot of elements from this still carry over into the show, which he had more control over, so... How much of it actually is and how much isn't, we'll never know. I also thought this guy was going to get turned into a vampire. I thought, like, Benny was going to show up here and turn the boss into a vampire. But you know what I like? They didn't pander to us. They didn't go, yeah, we're going to do that.
Yeah.
No. I like to think the guy genuinely took his word and left. Because we never see him again, so he might
We don't,
go.
so he's probably safe.
He's prob safe. But yeah.
I mean, this guy out here, no such luck.
No, sorry, he's dead.
I like Pike's van there because it reminds me of the Mystery Mobile just without the paint job.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's got like the base, but not the
just to bring more
designs.
Sarah Michelle Gellar references in.
Exactly. Well, this is like 10 years before that.
Like, that is a preemptive homage.
Joss Whedon was campaigning for her, even though he had not had her as Buffy yet. He was thinking forward. He was thinking ahead. He also wanted Luke Perry as Fred, but they couldn't get him.
I mean, he didn't write or direct Scooby-Doo, but he was still thinking.
James Gunn wrote Scooby-Doo.
Oh boy, that's right. That happened.
1 and 2. Yeah, James Gunn wrote a lot, people. But yeah, I thought the vampire makeup was cool in this. The show kind of was weaker with that, because it's like, in the show, they have a lot of vampires, or creatures with practical effect makeup, and it always looked like makeup. Like, in the show, Angel as well, like, they had a green guy.
Lorne, yeah.
And he just looked like a guy in makeup, and it looked kooky, but it is always like, you could never not think, oh, this is a man in makeup. But in this, they did the makeup and it was like, oh, this actually works.
With Lorne, I always like to assume he was also wearing makeup as well as just being green.
Green with red horns.
Yeah, and red eyes.
And red eyes. He put the contacts in. I would love that if he did that. Yeah. He was like, actually, I have blue eyes, but it looks weird. I want red eyes. But I like this whole mentor-mentee relationship. Like, he oscillates between hating her and loving her, and it's so great.
He was great, yeah. He's it's very much an Obi-Wan character, like a mentor for a hero's journey story.
Exactly. Have you seen Donald Sutherland in many things, if any?
I'm sure I have, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
He was in The Italian Job.
Haven't seen that.
Oh, the one with Mark Wahlberg?
I also don't speak Italian.
He was Charlize Theron's dad. He dies at the very beginning, it's okay. He's the driving force of the movie.
I think he had a minor role in Kentucky Fried Movie.
You've never seen Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
I'm not sure if I have.
Do you know the famous point and scream noise that comes out that the body snatchers do when they see someone who's not a body snatcher?
I'm sure if I hear it.
Yeah, it's just they point and their mouth is just wide open. They don't even move and you just get the kind of noise.
I just want to ask one question. So this is the part where the Watcher, for lack of a better title for him, is explaining how he keeps getting reborn through the ages to try and say. So when he dies in this movie,
he becomes Giles.
He becomes Giles.
Yeah.
I'm
From
very
the show.
okay with this.
Who's already alive and a full-grown man at this point.
I mean, I always assumed that Anthony Stewart Head was born fully formed.
He is one of those
Possibly
guys.
with reading glasses.
He's always been. Anthony Stewart Head is one of those actors who you can never imagine as a young person, like Patrick Stewart. You can never imagine Patrick Stewart as like a 17-year-old boy with a skateboard. You know?
No, that's just not an image I can have.
playing marbles.
And yet we can do that for Roger Ebert.
Roger Ebert did look like a big baby though, so I could imagine him as like a little 10-year-old wearing like those one-piece swimming trunks that they wore with like the red and white stripes on them, and he would wear one of those straw little hats.
Boaches.
Yeah. I can with the big glasses. I can imagine that.
Now I'm
And
imagining him like Baywatch or something.
and he's wearing, and he's licking one of those big lollipops, and he's like, "I give this lollipop a 2 out of 4 stars for no discernible reason."
And this was
Roger
a few years
Ebert.
before he was skateboarding in the cinema with teenagers.
And then
For,
Gene
nothing but
Siskel's
trouble.
Gene Siskel's there, but he's still like a full-grown man.
He's playing with the Dolphins.
They got raw silky power, according to Gene Siskel. But yeah, there's a lot going on. I want to skip forward to the death of Merrick. Did you get any like ideas from that? Because I have this idea that it's like, is his job training Slayers so that he can sacrifice them to the vampire?
The vampire.
Because he walks up to the vampire, it's like, no, you can't take her yet, not this one, not right now. And Lothos is like, you promised. It's like, so is he a bad guy?
Yeah, they didn't really expand on that, did they?
Then Merrick died, and they treat him like a hero. And I was very curious if you guys picked up on that. Like, it felt to me like it was like he hands them over to him.
I guess I would interpret that as, because they don't vilify him, I guess I would interpret it as like there's a fateful battle they have to have and she's not ready. Or...
Yeah, maybe there's like a gentlemanly thing.
But now that you mention, I do remember that exchange, and it is kind of phrased weirdly.
But maybe, yeah.
Maybe that's one of the changes that Joss Whedon wasn't happy about.
Or maybe
I feel
one he
like
wanted more
because Merrick is one of those eternal figures, I felt it was kind of like a Doctor Who thing of nobody dies today.
I could also see it like a gentlemanly thing, like, hey, do not have a go at her yet. She's not fully trained to have a proper fight with you. You're gentleman Rutger Hauer. And he's like, I am a gentleman. I wear a velvet glove.
I
And-
shall retire to my cave for...
I shall fly that one time and one time only.
Yes.
I wear those little things that vampires
Cravat.
wear. The cravats with the was it the badge things, the crosses?
Oh, yeah, the random vampire bling.
The
I'm
vampire
sure
bling
those have
for-
a name.
They're for barons and shit,
They're
aren't
for
they?
barons, which again is a sign of the patriarchy, Ryan.
Ooh, the patriarchal take. But yeah, I could also see like that. But when I first watched it, I'm like, ooh, they're adding this dark element of Merrick sacrifices Slayers. That's why she does ask him at one point, what happened to all the others? If they're like...
He does avoid that question.
He does, so I thought, ooh, he trains them up and sacrifices them to Lothos for some deal. Like, maybe, I thought, since in the medieval scenes, it's Donald Sutherland, I'm like, maybe he gives them immortality? I don't know. We don't know much about Merrick, but we do get to see some Paul Reubens action.
Kill him a lot.
Fucking great line.
I love that line.
Kill him a lot. It took me till this scene to realize he was Paul Reubens.
It took me to reading his name in the credits to realize it was
But
Paul Reubens.
you do know who Paul Reubens is?
All I know is that he's Pee Wee Herman.
Oh, and he's in everything. He's in everything, though. He's the Penguin's dad in the Batman movie. Batman.
I haven't.
Batman Returns, the one with Danny DeVito. He's Penguin's dad. He dumps him in a river and watches him die. And like Penguin's like, I shall live because I'm Danny DeVito.
I've only seen the first Tim Burton one.
Oh, okay, you missed it.
Oh,
Paul
Killing
Reubens.
with a piece of guitar. Wonderful.
Interesting. Can you stab them in the heart with anything, or does it have to be a stake?
It has to be wooden. So
Oh, okay. So knife and bullets won't work.
not unless they're wooden. So, but a piece of guitar, that's fine.
But what happens if it's dipped in holy water?
Then it will burn, but it might not kill them.
Burn the heart.
I'm trying to think now of the silliest thing I've seen a vampire impaled with.
I've seen in other vampire things vampires impaled with other vampires and it kills them.
What was that in?
From Dusk Till Dawn, I want to say. When one's impaled with like another vampire's face, yeah.
For our friend Reese McKenzie's one of his birthdays, I convinced two of our friends to buy him this movie DVD called
I'm a Jerk by Bartek.
The Case of the Smiling Stiffs or something.
Was it great?
Well, I haven't seen it. Reese has, but
Did you love it?
on the cover it said like, oh, this is a sex comedy. So I thought like, oh, okay, so it's gonna be like American Pie or something. But then when he watched it, it was actually a porn. And I think he said that in it, someone has a silver penis, and it's about vampires. So I think someone gets stabbed with it, or
in the
or
vagina, Bartek, in the vagina.
Or they die while interacting with it, or something like that.
While interacting.
I don't know. I have to ask him again.
I can't remember with vampires. Silver's bad for them. It burns them.
Not in Buffy. They're fine with silver in Buffy, but in vampire lore, silver can be quite bad for vampires.
I think in Bram Stoker's original thing, I think it mentioned that. Like, over time, they kind of made silver like a werewolf thing, but I think it is also a vampire thing.
Yeah, like in the movie What We Do in the Shadows, he wears a silver necklace, it burns him. He's like, okay, that's enough wearing it today.
Yeah. There's a whole lot of weird vampire lore, including one that if you spread rose petals or rice before your doorway, they have to stop and count every single grain or petal before they can come after you. So if you spread enough, they'll just get stuck there till dawn.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah. Oh, that would be wonderful. It's like, it reminds me of the comic Preacher when he makes a guy count all the grains of sand on the beach.
There's a Japanese...
And he does.
There's a Japanese mythical creature called a kappa.
Okay.
Which is just like green amphibian-looking humanoid
and he
with
has a little bowl of water on his head.
Bowl on his head.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
And they come out of like lakes and stuff, and apparently, yeah, they are dangerous. But if you bow to them, they have to bow to you.
Oh yeah.
And it spills the water, and if it spills the water, they can't move. But then if you refill it after that, they like you or something.
They're super polite. Also, on the topic of Japan, though, they have vampires as well.
Oh yes,
but they hop.
They hop at you.
I thought those were Chinese.
Oh, is it Chinese? Have I got my ones confused?
I think they're Chinese.
Chinese hopping vampires.
Yeah.
Which,
I need to find out if Japan has
which
vampires.
Asian country is it that have those weird ghosts where it's a person's head and just all their organs?
I've seen
and they
those.
fly around?
I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, those are cool. They're just like a person's head and just all their organs are
Sounds
just
like a
hanging.
Castlevania enemy, so maybe Japan?
He looks like a Castlevania enemy.
I mean, he looked like Dracula. Not really a common enemy.
No, he's Rutger Hauer. He up to the Rutger Hauer battle, and he's just like, yes, tears in the rain, and you're like, I can't win against his great monologue that redeems all of Blade Runner.
I'd like to hear him do the famous mimetic Dracula speech from Symphony of the Night.
Okay, yeah, I would love to hear him do everything, anytime, ever. He's a great actor. I feel there's this movie called Blind Fury, in which it's an action movie where he's blind.
And
he's beating people with his cane. He's doing kung fu.
Okay.
It's pretty great. But he's a great actor. What did we think of Rutger in this? I mean, I think we could all say we all know him from Blade Runner, right?
Yeah.
He's a guy from Blade Runner for us, for most people. But what did we think of him in this?
I think that as a main villain, he's got the look, he's got the intensity. I think he just nails typical main villain.
He's got the natural European accent.
Oh, every scene he's in, he's just the centre of focus without even trying.
Oh, there goes down the patriarchy.
Yep, down to the patriarchy.
Well, then she brings it up again, Ryan.
She brings him up, but now he's lesser.
But now he's equal.
Yes, but then
now they're equal.
But then he's gonna go with this guy, and now he's double.
See, look, he's seen the error of his mistake.
But then she goes with her whole group of strong female women who wear flowers in their hats.
One of whom is Hilary Swank, right?
Yeah, the black one.
Actually, I have a random history question to do with vampires and whatnot. We all know Dracula was based on a historical figure, Vlad. Now, from my understanding, when he was in charge of Transylvania, they actually had an alliance with Poland. Bartek, do you know anything about the Romanian-Polish alliances?
No, but I'd like to look it up.
I actually have another random interesting fact.
Dirty non-Slavs.
You remember Elizabeth Bathory, the one who bathed in the blood?
The Hungarian killer person lady?
Yes, bathed in the blood.
Sorry, so can we point at this? Can we point at the fact that Illuminati plus
male
genders
and female
equals infinity sign win?
Now,
I want that as a poster.
My interesting fact is Elizabeth Bathory actually had blood connections to a Polish royal family. She was like a cousin of that family for a while there.
And she's a serial killer, right? So
in theory, yes.
So cool, Polish
theory
related serial killer. How funky is your chicken, Ryan?
I thought this was great
Not as
because
loose as the goose.
it was. See, for me, I thought this was one of the best jokes of the movie because they've been constantly going on. We need to practice this great cheerleading thing, and this is what they got. Like this is what they came up with.
Like there wasn't a flip or anything.
It was a shaking of the caboose.
Yep.
That's all it was. I love that. I thought that was hilarious. But I also want to admit something, guys. I felt really silly. Before Paul Reubens turned up with the van thing, I knew he was in the movie, but I thought he was the gym guy with the wind sign. I thought that was Paul Reubens. I'm like, oh, he looks different when he wasn't Pee-wee. He's a bit older because Pee-wee was finished by this time, I think.
Important question here. If Teen Wolf was on the other basketball team, who would win?
Well, honestly, I don't care because I would rather Teen Wolf 2 with Jason Bateman, and his one was, what was it, football?
Basketball is the classic, right?
Who would win? The guy whipping out his dick in the crowd in
I mean,
Teen
you're not
Wolf?
wrong.
The answer is John Tucker.
John Tucker would win, yeah. The best basketball scene would... I think the real answer is Bill Murray coming in for Space Jam for no apparent reason to help them win. Now, here's the thing. I brought up the makeup because I really praise this. I like the fact that you can have a sequence like this where, yeah, there's enough physical things to make you go, oh, that's interesting. But, like, in the TV show, you could never, ever, ever have a sequence really like this convincing where they're vampires doing the full... this thing.
Like, I'm not really a vampire.
Yeah, I'm a human boy who's just playing basketball because their face is so... But that's the thing also, in the show, they can make their face just do that and then make their face normal again. Why?
Save on budget, really. I mean, let's be honest here.
Oh, that's Leo from Twin Peaks.
Or we could say it's because of the duality of man.
The duality of vampires who are no longer man, they are dead.
Exactly, they're dead.
The undead. Ooh.
Then
I loved that the fence thing came up again. Remember when she went down to a dead end earlier in the movie and Merrick told her off about it and how it's...
Yes.
And now it's come back. That's called setup and payoff. I felt so dumb. I thought these were other vampires, and like it's weird that these other vampires are needing to fix their motorbike. But I found out it was Luke Perry. I legit saw. I was like, oh, I guess more vampires are joining in. This poor vampire's getting his bike fixed by the other vampire. Poor guy.
Well, you can probably afford it.
Because I didn't know Luke Perry owned a bike. I thought he only owned a van.
He's all about the vehicles.
Oh, she's getting those menstrual cramps.
Yep, the magic
Remember the
ones.
big, that's the equivalent of in Snake, in Metal Gear, where your little mini map thing, and how it shows...
Yeah,
like
the Assault on Radar.
Yeah,
this is like
that's
a
her
spider
equivalent.
sense.
This is a Spidey, her menstrual sense.
Yeah.
I love this. How much is chewing this up? Someone get an ouchie! I'm not saying that Willem Dafoe got inspired by this performance for every single performance he's ever done, but I see a lot of similarities there, guys. Oh, there's some more vampires for you. Guys, do we love vampires? Are they one of our favorite, creatures?
I do like how malleable they are in all sorts of fiction.
Yeah, but well, they one of your faves? They are one of your faves?
I reckon so. They got cool aesthetics.
They do.
And again, like I said, malleable. So there are many different examples.
yeah.
It's like, oh, imagine if this vampire lived in like this universe. Like if they sparkled in Buffy and they made fun of that. Like I don't know,
And
something
they can
like
look
that.
like pretty much whatever you want, from Nosferatu just through...
To frickin' Gary Oldman's
Yeah.
Dracula with the big hair, the Mr. Burns rip-off one,
Fantastic.
where their shadows can do things on their own.
Yeah.
I do like sometimes vampires have like magic abilities, and sometimes they just have like, they can survive being killed or whatever. But then sometimes they can lift you or hypnotize you or do things with their shadows or turn into bats.
Or wolves, or mist. Like the
Or
original
mist.
Dracula had a lot of weird powers.
Yeah, I think he could also turn into a wolf. Like I think there was even a part in the
wolf.
32 film where, like,
You can say it, dude.
no, I will say it. Just I find it funny. Like he runs out of a window, and it's just a shot of them looking out the window and describing what they see. It's like, look, he's turned into a wolf and he's running away.
Yeah.
But it's like, they couldn't afford to show it.
There was this thing
Anyway.
in the 32 movie where he had all of the... I can't remember. I think there were these weird aardvarks.
Aardvarks?
He had a whole bunch of aardvarks because it's in the book.
I don't remember that.
Apparently, we'll have to look it up at some point, but yeah, apparently he had like these weird anteaters or aardvarks, or I want to say some weird animal, and one of the reasons was, it was in the book, but one of the main reasons was, in the 30s, these anteater creatures, I want to say, I'm looking in anteaters, were considered to be very of the occult.
Okay.
That's fantastic.
But we now look at them as cuties.
I remember when we were doing vampires in my media class, we actually did see an excerpt from the original Bram Stoker novel.
Oh, right.
And obviously because it's old, there's like old English. One of my favourite things that I just remember was he can be as bat.
My favourite is with the brand. So you haven't actually read it though.
No, just that
I've tried to
excerpt.
read it. It's hard because they also do the enunciations for the different accents each character has.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Which is tedious.
Oh, yeah.
Like, read Frankenstein.
Frankenstein's great.
It's dense, but once it gets going, it really makes the last few chapters that you read even more poignant. It's like there comes a point in Frankenstein where he just stops going to school, and you're like, no, go back, please. Oh, he got stabbed in the heart. Ashes to ashes. He was always carrying this handkerchief around.
There was one scene where he was like chewing on it.
Yeah.
Because Donald Sutherland really likes hankies. That's all I'm saying.
I bet when he was chewing on it, Joss Whedon was watching and being like, what a dick, what a dick.
He did not like him, did he? No, I can imagine.
He respected him but didn't like him.
I can
Like
imagine
the giant squirrel right there. That makes
the
this
giant
scene.
squirrel.
So it was a squirrel, not an anteater, Ryan.
Oh, no, sorry, soz.
Very occult.
I really love the fact that Donald Sutherland is just holding it.
Yeah.
Like, no attempt to make it look like it's stuck in him.
Well,
He's
there is
just-
an attempt, Ryan. It's funny.
It's a funny attempt. I love how he's dying, but he looks like he's just relieved to have sat down for the first time in like
Yes,
the whole day.
Some of the frames where you can only see the top half of his teeth kind of make him look goofy.
Yeah.
Like, duh, I'm holding this thing.
He looks like a chipmunk. You're right, a human chipmunk.
So it's chipmunks, not squirrels.
Not anteaters. And in the end, Pike watches. Alana, you going to share your Pike fact?
Oh, my wonderful pike fact. So we all know that pike is indeed a fish. But in the next show, in the show that they made after this, they decided to name her best friend Xander, who replaced Pike, after a fish as well. A Xander is also a fish. Unfortunately, she never tells him that Xander, that's a fish.
She probably doesn't know, right?
It's a bit more of a rare
Buffy
fish.
doesn't know. Jeez.
Well, she's younger in the show, so,
True, she
not as
hasn't-
experienced with fish.
She hasn't studied up on fish yet.
She's not into her fish lore.
Mm.
Yeah, I like that fact. Why, Joss Whedon? Let us know.
Just wanted to
Because-
carry that over.
Clearly the executives of this film knew, but he didn't.
So, was Xander just a friend, or was he also a love interest?
No, he was... for a while there, he had a crush on Buffy, but it was never reciprocated. Then he got with Willow, and Willow turned out to be a lesbian. So,
and
Xander's
she was
love
also
life, not
dating
great.
Seth Green at one point.
Yes, a werewolf. Xander also dated a vengeance demon, so not the best
whatever
love life
those are.
decisions.
Poor Xander. Did he get a happy ending in the end, or did he just become a fish?
Well, he lost an eye.
Wow.
But
Which means he gained badassery.
in one fun instance, he actually has a twin in real life. He's one of those many actors.
Oh,
have
right.
twin
Yeah.
Because they start acting as a child, and they like child actors to have twins. And so one episode where Xander got split in two, they just got his twin in to come.
It's
and play
like
one
in
of the
Terminator
Xanders.
2, when the security guard and the mental asylum, when they do the two of them, they're just twins.
Okay.
Those are two the most well-known twin actors. Like they were in Good Morning Vietnam as the two twins.
Was that the one that...
The one who gets the coffee.
Yeah, that's
cup.
what I was going to say. And
then he gets stabbed in the eye.
Yeah, that's the only guy that I can remember.
And you know they're twins. You can know they're twins because the Robert Patrick one is slightly shorter than the other one.
Okay.
That's how you can tell. One's just slightly shorter, but they look so much alike. It's so weird.
We've been talking about vampires so much that when you said Robert Patrick, I'm like, it's Robert Pattinson, but then I remember we were talking about Terminator 2.
don't know if Robert Patrick's played a vampire. No, he has. He was a. I don't know if he played vampire. He was in From Dusk Till Dawn 2.
Ryan, his name is Pattinson, and he was in Twilight as Edward.
He was in Good Time.
He should have been in Vampire Suck then. Robert Patrick's. As
Patrick.
the Edward character.
Robert Patrick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Patrick or Patrick's?
Patrick. He has 2 first names.
Right.
He also was in X-Files as the guy who plays Mulder. Nobody liked him, but he was actually alright. They made references several times to the fact that he used to be a motorcycle cop. And used, like, pictures of him from Terminator 2. Like in Wayne's World, when he rocks up in Wayne's World, he's like, have you seen this kid? And he's like, ah!
I remember...
Or in The Last Action Hero with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger's walking in, and he walks straight out of the police station dressed in the full thing, and he's walking, and you hear the music, his theme, the T-1000 theme kick in, and Schwarzenegger's like, oh my god! And then Danny DeVito as a cat comes over, and is like, don't worry about him, and they just keep walking. Last Action Hero, best film, next to Buffy, the Vampire Slayer. What an awesome name for a thing too. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It just oozes so much, like, confidence.
And it really, I feel like it nails the whole premise of, like, the valley girl but hunts vampires. Like, Buffy's not exactly, the most heroic sounding name, so...
No, have you heard the name Buffy before outside of this? Existing in the world?
Only probably to references to this that I didn't know were references to this because I didn't know it existed, like on Who's Line or something.
Yeah, I honestly didn't know it was a name before this.
Yeah.
It sounds like an adjective.
Yeah, she's really Buffy.
Yeah.
I thought it was like, I guess it's like there's that name Muffy, so I guess it's like Buffy and Muffy, I guess. What other Uffies are there? That's what I used to think. Like, how many Uffy names are there? Duffy? You got that?
That's more of a nickname.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought Buffy was a nickname. I never thought it was actually her name, but then when I asked Allana, it's like, no, that's actually a name because Buffy, apparently, when I looked it up, is a nickname for Elizabeth. Derives from Elizabeth.
Well, Buffy Bathory, I guess.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Maybe that's
But
what it
apparently
is.
her name is actually Buffy. Like, she's not Elizabeth. It's
I get
Buffy.
it, yeah.
Buffy Summers, you find out. In this, you never find out her last name.
Nope.
She's just Buffy. Because she don't need no last name when she's wearing those kind of denim shorts.
Well, her last name's The Vampire Slayer.
The Vampire Slayer.
I always thought it was the Vampire Slayer. It just makes sense.
Does she need... that woman gave him a real nasty look for revving his bike. And then he just did a full little skid mark and left it behind. I love this little gag where the photo comes out and there's just nothing. I thought that was cute. I thought, oh, how funny.
Yeah, I was wondering if they were going to do like a mirror thing at some point.
And they did. How come her menstrual cramps didn't kick in?
It's true.
He was right there.
Well, has it been a couple of weeks since she mentioned that she's a couple of weeks out?
That's true. Maybe she's just having a menstrual
Maybe she's just
cramps all the time. I do like the fact that Paul Rubin has the claws, like the nails. Well, fuck, I'm sorry. Rutger Hauer is just owning this right now. They really do have this Mr. Bird Smithers relationship, don't they?
Yeah.
God, they're the best. Did you guys have a standout character for you? A favorite? One that really
honestly,
stole the show?
Paul Reubens was really up there.
I don't know. I kind of like Benny.
Sorry, what? His name's Amelin, right?
Yeah, Evelyn. Not Amblin, was it the Steven Spielberg film production company?
Amblin.
Amblin? Yeah.
No, Amelin is his name.
It's close, though.
I guess.
Yeah, I think those are good. I like Stephen Root. I was just happy to see him. This is like the third time we've had him on the show, and the second
Fourth,
time where
I
he's played...
believe.
Oh, fourth. Is this the second or third time he's played someone who works for a school? Because in Drill Bit Taylor, he was the principal.
Does university count?
Yes.
Well, then third.
What was the other one who was at university?
Krippendorf's Tribe.
Oh, yeah, Krippendorf's Tribe. Yeah, he was his boss.
So yeah, Over Her Dead Body is the only one where
he played a guy who owned an ice statue.
Or the ice sculptor, I guess.
Ice sculptor man. Who was a drunk. So, Stephen Root, we know what you like to play. Teachers. We understand.
That
Stephen.
wacky teacher.
That wacky... In Krippendorf's Tribe, he's more antagonistic. He's more like, get me this now!
Also, it's university, so it's not like, relating to the youth kind of gags or anything like that.
Yeah, which he does do in this. but the detention slip gag was the best thing in the entire movie. I'm sorry. As soon as I saw it, I just wrote the best, but also then underneath it, I went, I hope Bartek thinks it's the best too. Because that detention, when he's throwing the detention slips on all the dead bodies for the kids, I thought you would really like that. I thought that would get you pretty chuffed.
I mean, in Saved by the Bell, the principal also sometimes had a gag about giving detentions, but he never like threw slips around or anything like that.
At dead bodies?
At dead bodies, no.
At the murdered bodies of the children. What was Stephen Root's job in this? Was he's not the principal?
Yeah, he definitely seems to be a type of teacher that like would be in counselling, but he does have the authority to give detention, which I don't know if counsellors do.
Now, Allana, Bartek,
or if he actually does have the
you
authority.
work in the field of education. Is there, or you've dabbled in it, is there a job as a teacher where you're timekeeper? Because all he does in this movie is like make sure to keep the time. Like there's a bit where Buffy's running late and he's at the blinds. He's like looking at his watch like tut 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 timekeeper. And I thought he's gonna do a big fat liar where he just locks the school and doesn't let her in. Remember that big fat liar? I thought it was gonna be like that. But is there that job? Can you be English teacher whose job is to be timekeeper?
I know that there are definitely education staff that can be in charge of people that come in late, but I don't know if they're timekeepers. It's just like, hey, you've come to me, that means you're late.
How dare you? I've got a watch. I'm timekeeping this.
And then they give them like a late slip and they take that to class. If you don't have a late slip, that means you haven't seen the late teacher person.
Now, in the Buffy universe, does time travel exist?
Not that I recall.
Well, I'm going to say it does because I think Stephen Root's a time traveler. That's why he's so preoccupied
well, there
with
is
being
actually,
a time cop, like in Star Trek.
I actually looked this up and I found out that in the Buffyverse, there's a system regarding time where, 1 second passes every second and like 60 is a minute and, 60 of those is an hour. And 24 of those hours constitute days. So it does move forward at a slight pace.
Ah, there is time. And they travel in a linear fashion.
Yes, 1 second per second.
Yeah.
Unless they use slow-mo in the episode.
Yes.
Which they do a lot, don't they, Allana? Mainly if they're killing people.
Well, yeah, but you really want to see the detail there.
Are there montages in the show?
There are montages.
Here's something, Bartek.
Yes?
In the show, people have got the footage. There's this famous footage of, pretty much every episode, you're guaranteed, Sarah Michelle Gellar will be facing away from the camera, then flip her hair and spin around and look. And people have got pretty much all of those, and they're pretty much the exact same shot, framed the exact same way, and the only difference is her hair and clothes, and that's it. Like, she has the same face. It's the exact same. It's like, over how many seasons were there? Like, I want to say, like
7?
7 or 8.
Yeah,
usually is
7 or
what
8.
those 90s shows got, like Star Trek got usually 7.
Yeah.
7 or 8. I wasn't too sure if it was one of those bold ones that got like 10 seasons.
Oh, we all wish.
No, it just had a spin-off show instead,
Yeah.
which had like 5 seasons?
4, I want to say. Not many, not enough.
Not enough. You didn't even like Angel.
I did like Angel once Spike entered the show.
There's a character in this movie called Pike, and in the TV show there's one called Spike. And I was jesting a lot of when I said we're going to do this. I'm like, so Pike, is he a vampire in this? Like Spike is in the TV show? And she was like, no.
Yeah, last week when I was leaving the studio after we did the episode, you mentioned that thing of like, oh, in the show itself there's a Spike, but in this film there's a Pike. So I thought like they were the same kind of character, or that Pike is a vampire. But then when I watched it, I'm like, oh, he's just a normal guy.
Spike's a real... He's Billy Idol as a vampire. That's the best way to describe him.
The TV show clarified that Billy Idol stole his look from Spike.
So there you go.
Take that, Billy Idol.
Yep.
You know Billy Idol, right?
Yes, of course.
Of course. Sometimes you don't know things.
No, I like Billy Idol.
How come this... I really thought this guy was going to turn into a vampire. But he didn't. They just die.
Well, presumably they'll turn later. See, there's some female vampires.
They are there. They got some killers.
Was the one on the left a female or a
I'm
male?
not sure, to be honest.
It was the late 80s, early 90s. It's kind of hard to tell who were boys and who were girls.
This was the year before we were born, Ryan.
It's true. You know,
This is an age that we haven't seen.
we know what our parents were getting up to during the 1992. Oh look, this is it. He's getting
slips
warmed
for
up.
all.
that he was getting warmed up. Kill them a lot.
It's like you said earlier, Ryan. There are setups and then there are payoffs.
And one of the payoffs is Luke Perry bringing all the steaks.
Yeah. So Buffy's about to go outside, and I believe the first thing she does is kick someone. Is that going to be Seth Green?
Oh,
We
yeah.
do need to keep an eye out for this.
I thought you were going to say, so she kicks someone. Does she do that in the show? Yes, all the
Yes.
time. It's not, the
Forever.
fight choreography in the show is, Sarah, can you do a high kick? Yes.
She's a kick chick.
Hence, they also used her kick skills in the Scooby-Doo movies.
Oh yeah. She had a martial arts training in the first
And-
one.
and in
she
the
beat that Australian guy. What's his face?
The guy from Fat Pizza.
Yeah.
Opening with a kick.
Opening with a kick. All she does is just kick people. She throws her bag. I want to see it.
Tumble.
Tumble, 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 tumble. No. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that does
That's
look like
him.
Seth Green's hair.
Fuck
yeah.
you, Seth Green. I like how the vampires calmly wait one by one. They
Hissing.
did that in the show too, though. They
Oh,
would
yeah.
always just calmly wait to fight.
It's vampire etiquette.
I really didn't think, like, this scene here where they're having
Wait,
sex in the
wait
car.
a minute again. Wait, can't vampires fly in this?
Yeah, but they don't because Paul Reubens is going to take
Well,
charge.
Paul Reubens and Benny can. I know that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're the only... Oh, no, and Rutger Hauer.
Oh yes,
That's how
he
we get
did,
introduced to
yeah.
him proper.
Yeah, that's right.
With his big cape. And I like how they did it with
So
no sense
only-
of irony. It's just
only-
so funny, but they did it with no, like, haha, this is funny. It's just like, no, this is it.
Only the major antagonistic vampires.
Sorry, but Paul Reubens also was fucking hysterical in this, wasn't he? He was just so fucking funny.
Well, did you see his death scene?
The improvised death scene.
I also like this vampire.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's great.
I like the
Looks like someone I went to school with.
What? You went to school with a DJ vampire? I do like that they all have different, like, vampire things, like teeth. Like, that guy had a real, more kind of, like, Nosferatu-esque type. Not just,
Yes.
he didn't have, like, they weren't the two front teeth, but they kind of had more of that type of vampire, while, you know, Paul Reubens and Benny more have, like, the type of normal-esque vampire stuff. Well, I can't remember Rutger Hauer's teeth off the top of my head. He doesn't really show them off as prominently because he's not all about, like... I do respect the fact that the head vampire guy isn't all about, like, going, "Rah, bite you." He's a little bit more like, let me hug you and embrace you. I did like those two, where one's not a vampire and the other one is, and they're just chilling out. It's like, this music sucks, and the one's like, yeah, it does.
If only Benny and Pike could reconcile.
Well, Benny had some real problems with those women interrupting the movie that they snuck into.
Those bitches. Well, no, sorry, Rutger Hauer is the one that uses bitches, right?
Everyone uses it, I'm pretty sure.
Now that you mention it, yeah. I just remember him saying it sounded really good.
Donald Sutherland says, was it, he called her something, she's a real pain in the ass. If you...
We could start a band.
We could start a band, I love that. What would their band be called?
I mean, I don't want to say vampire weekend, but...
Benny Pike.
Yeah.
Benny
Benny
Pike.
And they're like, where'd you get the name from? I'm Benny and he's Pike.
Yeah.
Oh,
But Pike's a fish.
Oh.
that's not a name, that's a fish. I love all of this. Such a dick. I do love when villains do that kind of stuff. Like why don't they just kill them instantly? I like it when villains just they're too busy just being fucking.
Trying to beat her with a trumpet.
You know what? You can go fishing with a spear, and a spear is a pike, so it's kind of like a double meaning name.
I like
It's a fish and also a tool that you can use to get a fish.
here he is with his violin, his little fiddle, his weird one as well. It's not even like a normal one. It's like a very specialized one.
Like he's got a metronome.
I like he's got spats.
That's a very nice touch.
Everything's. I like how he just looks at him like, oh, sorry. You get stabbed with the lamest thing to get stabbed with
Is
as
that a
well.
ruler?
Yeah, it's a sharpened ruler. Pike sharpened a ruler. Isn't that great? Oh, here he goes. Now, Bartek, what did you think of that when you first saw it? Huh? This is your type of humor.
It is, yeah. At first, I was like, "Is he fucking with her?"
A little bit.
But then he actually dies for real.
He keeps going. I like they have the mid credit scene.
It reminded me of
The kick. Yeah.
when Ryan and I were in our final year of university. We did we were in a drama unit, so we had to do a big performance at the end. We did a comedy piece, and it involved a lot of improvisation. And our friend Will Brooks, who's been on the show, we had a gag where I poked him, and then he does a really dramatic death sequence.
Yeah.
I have a recording of it somewhere, but it reminded me of that because it was just like until he's finally on the ground.
See, I like in this, they don't have to explain that's holy water. They're just there it is. Like, they don't have to be like, why did you get holy? Where did you get? They don't do that. They don't show Pike going to a church and grabbing it from the, they don't do that. They're
or a Family Guy cutaway.
Yeah. It's like
holy water? Where's this water that I got?
Or it's like, previously on Pike's Adventures getting holy water. Now,
does the show do a previously on, or is it all more episodic?
It's really episodic.
All right.
Well, you have overarching.
That kind of kick in later, though, overall, right? Because that's when TV started to change, right?
Even the first season, the overarching plot is the Master.
No, not the Time Lord.
Yeah. Basically,
the evil Time Lord, the Master.
But he's a real Nosferatu-looking vampire.
Oh, that's good, then. Oh, poor Rutger. He just wants to give her a massage on the neck with his teeth. He wants to teeth her real good. I do like that he has the pale thing, but the really red lips. I do like that's his touch. The Rutger Hauer's vampire's touch. Vampire's kiss, you might say.
He's trying to do hypnotism.
It doesn't work because she is so over it. You stupid little bitch! The trumpet, it just keeps being in the room. I love his outfit. Now that's a vampire outfit right there.
Oh, he really is just the vampire.
I love there was a movie the other year, was the sequel to Annabelle. It has Anthony LaPaglia in it, and he's using the cross to say no demon, and the demon just breaks his fingers so the cross falls out of his hand. Now that's how he just grabs it and sets it on fire. It just gets set on fire. Oh, there it is.
Detention for all.
They're crying in the background, and he's just like, I've got a job to do. Not having any of this.
Well, he's meant to make them feel better, as we saw with Buffy. That was great.
Her face?
Is that Hilary Swank?
That is Hilary Swank.
This is before the core.
Before the core, the last movie we had her on.
Before the 4.
Now, guys, this movie has an action-packed climax where her and Rutger have to battle against each other in an intense fight where he now has a sword.
No, not just any sword. He has a katana.
Yeah, it's a katana.
For no reason.
Because he's clearly Japanese.
Yeah, no, this is just what's cool, okay?
I
didn't actually notice that the first time I watched this.
That he had a katana?
I did.
A katana. Which is Japanese for Japanese sword. I did, because I was also like, where did he get this? I thought he would have more like a I don't know, a cutlass or something, right?
Maybe a fencing saber?
Yeah, like a really skinny blade or something. I could see him having one of those, but he had a katana. And I guess he's been to Japan.
Apparently. I want to know more about his character.
Are there Japanese vampires in Buffy?
In Buffy, I swear there are, but I can't remember them off the top of my head. They don't really go to Japan.
Now, Allana, you've used swords.
Yes.
Have you used a katana?
I have used a katana.
Now, have you ever had to fight against someone who's using a piece of wood...
A flag?
A flagpole versus a katana? Would the katana break the flagpole that's made out of wood?
It depends on how hard the wood is and what kind of a hit you got in. He wasn't getting very good hits in.
He was getting very solid hits in.
She was not making good use of the length of that flagpole.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I remember there's this thing with swords, like medieval times, where they had to change them, so because they used to be more like slashing, then they had to change them to stabbing, poking, because all the armor, you had to get them underneath the armpits and stuff like that to stab them through instead of poking them.
Yeah, I think with chainmail, it's better to stab, but then with plate mail, I don't know.
Yeah, but
use a bashing weapon.
Yeah, but there was a time where they had to stab them in the armpits where they're the weakest, so they had to have a stabby, because slashy won't work no more. But I love the fact that he had a katana. There's no explanation other than Joss Whedon likes to have some random cool shit in his things.
Yeah.
He likes having Asian aesthetic
Just
in his
randomly.
things sometimes, like in Firefly. Give her like one of those Japanese fans.
Why not?
Why not? Make her have the chopsticks in her hair for no reason and all of that. Why not? It's fun. I had fun with him as a katana, and I'm sad that he died. I really would have loved to have seen him be a recurring villain in the TV show. Know more about him, because he seems like he was the top vampire of LA.
Oh, yeah, at least of LA. But
If Joss Whedon digs on multiverses, he could like have memories of this film and just be confused about everything. Like, wait, where's Pike and where's Benny?
Yeah.
You don't remember Paul Rubin?
You know,
Hamlin?
But this does take to same universe, man, as Buffy the show. So,
But she's third year here, right? And she's meant to be like
30?
sophomore in the show.
No, she's really sophomore in the show.
She's merely a soph.
She's 30 years old in this. I don't know. I honestly think that this actress looks younger than Sarah Michelle Gellar does when she's Buffy.
just remember, Sarah Michelle Gellar was not the oldest actor in that particular one. We had
Giles.
Charisma Carpenter playing a teenager. Buffy's age. She was 30 at the time.
Oh, it's like in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. His friend.
Oh yeah. I only saw Ferris Bueller's Day Off for the first time a few months ago,
he's
and I looked
Cameron.
it up. Yeah,
He was 30. He was
Yeah.
30 years old, but he looks
He did
younger.
look
I was
He-
surprised by that.
Alan Ruck. Yeah, that's his name. Because I love that actor. He was in Spin City. He was even in Star Trek
Grow up.
Generations as the captain that got Kirk blown out into space.
Matthew Broderick, you need to grow up.
Matthew Broderick looked older than he did.
In
Ferris Bueller, yeah.
oh yeah, he did. Yeah.
He looked like he was in his 20s. Matthew Broderick. And that, like a cocky 20-something. And the biggest build name, Candy Clark, is Buffy's mum.
Yeah, I like that.
Wait, why
Was there
did
a
she
reason?
do her own thing?
Because she was really cool. Her name is Candy Clark. That's the answer.
I guess kiss noise really goes a long way.
It does.
And Buffy's dad is really far down. No, I think this was a fun movie. I'm glad
Bob Swanson.
yeah, I love that we get like a little thing to go with the credits of the real life journalist playing herself, interviewing these guys. But I really just love Stephen Root making it all about him and his Vietnam adventures that he clearly never had.
I think they were young Republicans.
That's a great line.
That's great.
That's such a great line. Just Stephen Root even has more of a beard now as well. Like, he had less of a prominent beard, but now he's got a bigger
They
beard.
should have interviewed the DJ vampire, but he'll be invisible.
That is true. Do you know there's that joke where people have said you cannot confirm that that space isn't full of vampires because we don't know because we've only seen space through telescopes?
I mean, they're not wrong. And vampires don't need to breathe, so...
Exactly. So there's a thing of, well, we don't know what's really going up there. It could be full of vampires. We can't see because we're using mirrors and stuff to find out. So space could, all that black could just be their capes. So these two. I like how they're having sex. I thought it was a joke earlier where I missed it because it was so quick, but I thought like she was a vampire going at him and it looked like they were having sex, but no, then they were just genuinely making out and having sex and the vampires left them to it. Because vampires
Well,
have
they were stuck
morals.
behind the fence, Ryan.
They weren't invited into the car, which is where he lives. So, Bartek, the film is practically over. We get this more. He's still there.
Oh, I think I missed something important in the credits there. I saw a name Slaymaker. I need to see... I don't know if I misread that.
Slaymaker would be their
Some
name.
more divinals. Lovely.
So, Bartek, the film is over.
What?
Unfortunately, I
we
know.
start again.
No. We have to give our reviews and our rating of our choice. Bartek, I'd love to hear from you first, though.
As a person who's not too familiar with the franchise, what came... I can't really say what came before because I haven't seen the original script, but what came after... I did walk into this fresh. I did want to have this very pure experience. Not being familiar with the TV show, I can't really say that I was moving backwards. The only, performer from the TV show that I'm really aware of to any extent is Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Oh, not Willow?
Who's she played by?
Alison Hannigy, who's the chick from How I Met Your Mother.
Okay, well, I haven't seen her. So.
Have you seen American Pie?
Yeah.
I've seen some of them.
She's
Bandcamp Girl.
She's Bandcamp Girl.
Oh, okay, right. The love interest of the main guy?
Yeah. Psycho bitch Bandcamp Girl.
Right, okay.
One time at Bandcamp.
Right, so I have seen her in something. Okay, but walking in, I was only aware of Sarah Michelle Gellar. So when I did hear that, we would be watching this, thought did cross my head, like, oh, is Sarah in it? But then I looked it up, she isn't. So really, it was a very fresh thing for me. If ever I do get into the show, I do have this pilot in mind. Mm-hmm. And I think that knowing that a show comes after it, I think this is a wonderful source material. But even taking that all out of it, which I really tried to do when researching it after watching it, I think it stands up on its own. I did read that, it didn't do well in theaters, but on video release it did much better. Mm. That is a great sign, but it is now, 26 years later, almost 27. Crazy to think about. I could have just said our age plus one, but I had to think about it.
It's okay. Thinking's hard.
I'm pretty good at it. Anyway,
Take that, me.
It's the modern day now. Which, I mean, it's impossible to not say it's the modern day now because you can only speak in the modern
when they're
day.
Listening to this, though, it won't be.
Not only am I
the past.
Not only am I a thinker, I'm a philosopher. It's the modern day now, and we have to revitalize this film.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there are hundreds of other films we also have to revitalize. So, you know what? Just being realistic, everyone, find time for this film. You won't regret it. I give this film a smart big woman out of a stupid little bitch.
Well, my sentiments are the exact same as yours, of course, Bartek, that this film has a lot of elements going on that people simply will not look at because the TV show overshadows this movie, but the TV show owes a lot to this movie. While it wouldn't really exist in the first place without this movie. I mean, I don't know what Joss Whedon did before this movie. Did he do anything before this?
I was born.
Well, I swear he was doing something, but I honestly can't remember.
But this is it's easy to say that the Buffy stuff launched him as a well-known individual, and then he did Firefly, and then so on and so forth. But this movie was interesting. I think, this interpretation of Buffy is very interesting because it is that Valley Girl turning Vampire Slayer, take down the patriarchy. While in the show, she's a lot more straight-laced, I'm just here and I'm cool already.
Oh, no, she's still a bit of a Valley Girl.
Less than this.
Yeah, less so because she wasn't in the popular crowd at school anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And she wasn't allowed to do cheerleading. This is... What happens if the cheerleader stabbed vampires at night? How awesome does that sound? Exactly. This has everything you need. It has a good amount of comedy, a good amount of action. It's got some interest. It's also visually appealing to look at. It's nice and colourful. It isn't drab and grey like a lot of vampire movies tend to be, especially now. And it doesn't annoy you with the romance plot either. It's like they her and Pike clearly have something going on, but they're not like derailing the movie for that as well. So I kind of welcome that. If I have to give this movie a rating, which I do, Bartek, I do have to give this film a rating. I would have to give this a Paul Reubens dying for an eternity. Out of me loving Paul Reubens dying for an eternity. Allana, let's hear from you.
Well, overall, this is a masterpiece. Well before it's ahead of its time at every turn, but it is still a lovely glimpse back at a time lost to many of us. The fashion, the way of talking, everything. You will not see a smartphone or use of the internet. So it's truly like looking back in time. If I were to give it a rating, I would say it is a lush sitch.
That's a good one. So, Bartek, you've managed to accrue some comments and reviews from the internet. Just before, did you find out what Roger Ebert thought of this? Did he have any opinion
I
on this?
forgot to look up Roger Ebert.
He probably couldn't write anything down with the fact that he was just so happy by it. He was just smiling too much.
He was busy licking a lollipop.
Yeah, exactly. He was a kid when this came out. So, Bartek, what did the internet have to say about this movie? You did mention before you did go out of your way to try and not find one that were just in the show this, in the show that, which I do appreciate because...
Yeah, obviously, it's unavoidable, but
because
I tried to sift through.
They're the same.
Yes. Starting off with the YouTube comments, I think I gathered them from 2 different trailers. I have 5.
What were the trailers like, might I add? What were they... Well, did you watch them?
I didn't watch them, but one of them was an official 20th Century Fox YouTube channel one that had like the flashback Throwback Thursday in the title.
Oh, wow.
So it was kind of like a retro thing. It was uploaded like 4 years ago. So I'm sure for a lot of people that was a lot of fun to watch, considering it was uploaded this decade for a 1992 film. Oh, probably... No.
For its anniversary, right?
I was going to say 20 years ago, but no, it would have been
Just
like 22-year anniversary probably.
Fair enough. So hit us in the
Anyhow,
loins.
the first comment is, big fan of this Buffy. I used to love it as a kid. I also love Sarah Michelle Gellar's face.
But
Yeah.
just her face.
Nothing else.
No.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
We should end all our reviews in these episodes with I love Sarah Michelle Gellar's face.
Face. Just a face. I would wear it if I could.
This is way better than the show. I just couldn't get into the show. The storyline was a little off, and the way the vampires look was awful. The movie was an ultimate classic with Kristy Swanson as the original Buffy. If it wasn't for the movie, the show would have never existed. Which kind of goes into what you were saying.
That's right.
Yeah.
I wrote that. That was me, guys. I love Sarah Michelle Gellar's face.
Oh, so you were both these comments?
No. You have to end every review with that.
Oh, right. The next comment is, by the way, I love her face. The next
Who,
comment
Sarah
is...
Michelle Gellar's?
Yes. One day you're a robot killer girl throwing basketball to grannies. Not the plural grannies, granny apostrophe S. And the other day you're a vampire slayer, you jumps into people's shoulders.
That's fantastic.
I don't know what they watched. There wasn't even a granny in this. Maybe they watched the show. Maybe that's a plot point in the show. Buffy has to help Granny Buffy to get a basketball.
Doesn't ring a bell, but I'm not going to deny that it could have happened.
Does Buffy have grandparents in the show?
Not in the show. Not that
Wow. Maybe this person's seen a different Buffy.
This next comment is definitely one that isn't, referring it to the show, so it's unique, standalone.
Also, I love Sarah Michelle Gellar's face. Just
I
to
do
point that
too,
out.
actually,
I did point that out.
yeah.
Yeah, go on.
But boys playing with condoms and no girls' immaturity, no tail. It is sad.
What?
What?
What was that word
is that?
salad?
What the fuck was that?
That's a YouTube comment, Ryan.
Okay, I'll take it. Roger Ebert wrote that one.
It's less racist than most YouTube comments.
That is
so
true.
yeah,
That is
there's
true. So is that any more YouTube comments, or are you going to
I have
IMDb?
one more, but before I say it, I love Sarah Michelle Gellar's face.
Well, I also love her face. Just
Oh,
her face.
Okay. The last YouTube comment that I've gathered is, man, I always do this. After watching a movie or a TV series, full stop, I always vote for the couple that no one would expect, and that's cute to me, and in the end, the people I chose always become a couple. But then I always wish the couple would date/married in real life, but then I'm like, they don't act like that in real life.
Oh, okay. Well,
It's the
dude,
eternal struggle.
Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. did marry after Scooby-Doo, so
Yeah.
dreams do come true, bro.
I love her face.
I love her face. I love him, but I love her face.
Well, he's a prince.
Junior, though.
Yeah.
So he's even a young prince. He's the fresh prince of Sarah Michelle Gellar's lovely face.
I'd watch
So-
his version of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
I would love to watch his version of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and Will Smith's still in it, but he's the uncle now.
Uncle Will. It rhymes with Uncle Phil.
Uncle Bill. He's a grown man now. He's no longer Will. He's Bill. So hit us with this IMDb review.
How do you know I had one?
I'm.
Is it because I said it earlier?
Yeah, I'm on the edge of my seat.
Not really. Well, I guess so. This one is... This review is titled, What Are People Complaining About? It is from the 24th of February 2001, and it does not have a rating.
Okay.
I get the impression most of these user comments are from under 21 set who don't have a clue, and then open brackets, are clueless.
Yeah.
Get it? Close bracket. About a simple concept called, and this is in all capitals, camp.
Yep.
Boy.
These kids are the same ones who would trash classics like Pink Flamingos or Polyester. Open brackets. In fact, I dare one of them to sit through the doggy-doo eating scene of Flamingos.
You know
Close
about that,
bracket.
right?
Yes.
Oh, God.
They wouldn't get Faster Pussycat, Kill, Kill, or anything by pre-Crybaby John Waters or Russ Meyer, etc.
Is this written by John Waters?
Buffy the Vampire Slayer, 1992, is camp. And it's funny. One of the best lines is Buffy, after first dispatching a bunch of vamps, looking at her nails and saying, in total amazement, I didn't even break a nail.
Yep, that was good. John Waters would be proud.
Kids under a certain age don't get what camp is, especially if they aren't gay.
Go on.
I didn't want to see this movie when it first came out, but I was forced to by friends, and I'm glad I did. Incidentally, the show and the movie have something in common. They both have 3D characters and surprisingly smart
3D
acting.
characters, yeah.
Love that elongated, exaggerated death scene by Vamp Paul Reubens. Ooh, ah. Open brackets, collapse, return back up, close bracket. Ooh, ah. And that's the review.
That was pretty fantastic.
That was fantastical, Bartek. Thank you so much for getting that for us. That person had a lot to say. And they wrote it when? 2001?
Yes, February.
Oh, man, it was a simpler time back then, before 9/11. Man, I'm happy for them. I'm glad that they've gotten their review out there for us to read all these years later. I wonder if they know that we've... I wonder if any of these people ever know that we read these.
You did YouTube comment one of the reviews, people
I
that we
did.
talked
Really?
to once.
Yeah. So, you guys at home have been fantastic, amazing, wonderful listening people, as always. Alana, great to have you on the show.
Happy to be back.
Oh, we don't know what we'll
Happy to
get
have
for
you.
you next year, but I bet it will be a spooky, because, guys, spooky month is over now. Woo! Ooh. That's not how vampires sound.
That's a zombie.
I mean, there are many different... Like I said, Ryan,
Young
vampires
Republican.
vampires are malleable.
Exactly. And you guys can be just as malleable by giving us a review on iTunes or any podcasting platform that gives you the ability to do that, because you can be rad, like Bartek, who's pretty rad right now. And if you put rad backwards, that spells...
Duh.
Exactly.
I'm so dumb.
Because you're so dumb, because we are on all the podcasting platforms like Podbean, iTunes, Google Play. We're on Spotify, Alana.
Do they need to like, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell?
And smash that like button!
Well, Ryan, in this episode, you've already told them to press the play button, so... that's a
Smash
lot.
that like button right in my fucking face. If you guys at home want to give us a suggestion, because hey, we can't know all the films. Even we are, we're not impervious to the lack of knowledge of unappreciated masterpieces. We do have an email now. Bartek, what's the email?
spitandpolished@gmail.com.
You can drop us a suggestion or a death threat. I'd like to read one of those on there. That would be fun. How dare you speak about Buffy the Vampire Slayer? My name's Joss Whedon. Here's my email.
And then we'll say, hi, Joss Whedon, please stop cheating.
Yeah. Oh, ice cold. So, as always, you guys have been fantastic, amazing, wonderful listening people. Till next time, remember to be kind to each other. And, even though Spooky Month is getting over now, still be spooky to each other, because
Be spooky every day.
spook every day.
All right, that was a good episode, Ryan. But by the way, I found this Chinese wishing box in the rubbish outside.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I made a wish to help me fight vampires.
Oh, good.
But it came at a blood price, and you died.
I'm dead.
You're dead.
But I'm here now.
You're dead. And I failed at fighting vampires, and I'm becoming a vampire.
Good.
And when
Seems like you deserve it.
And when I became a vampire, I talked to my therapist, and Megan Fox was there, and she said, my tit. And and then I went crazy. I ran out in the streets, and I ran into Idris Elba, but I only saw his nostrils. And it was a terrifying experience.
But also arousing, right?
Yeah. And that's the ending that I've been building up to all month. Yeah, there you go. Enjoy it.
That's good.
Yay.
Hey.
Remember, I think I said in Vampire's Kiss that we were never the same again after that, so...
Never been the same ever again.
Well, you died, Ryan, so...
Till next time, I'm dead.
I mean, I'd say I mourned you, but...
But we're still talking to you, so it doesn't feel
It's not the
like,
same.
you know...
There's
All
no
right,
closure
I'm
here.
no longer talking to you guys.
I mean, look, we're sad that you're dead, but you're still here.
Yeah.
It's like in Harry Potter, they're always upset when people die, but they have paintings where they can talk to them.
They can become the house ghost.
Fuck you, Harry Potter!